The American dream is no more. In 1940, 90% of kids out-earned their parents. Well, today, that number is only 42%.
Every time I get paid, it's either my car payment I have to pay in car insurance, and then on top of that, phone bill.
And we just work really hard, we could have the American dream. That's just not the case anymore. That's not the case anymore.
When you were like in grade school and they'd make you do like when I get older forms, they'd be like, when I'm 25, I'll do this.
How did the American dream die? How did the middle class die? I'm going to tell you, it started in the 1980s with trickle-down economics that did not work.
Dude, it's 1998, and a good house costs about $125,000. A lot of people can actually afford their own place. A new family car costs less than $20,000.
I think there's an assumption that Gen Z is ungrateful, difficult to work with.
The thing they've been selling us isn't real. We'll just create jobs for everybody. Everybody will have a job so there can be a chicken on every table or whatever.
You got folks working 2-3 jobs trying to make it. Folks working 2-3 jobs and still can't pay their rent.
The American dream is dead. I recently had a client that sold his business, and he sold it to private equity.
The American dream used to be one job, one single household to support the entire family. But today, it would take 2-3 people to work 4-5 jobs just to support the entire family. The American dream we know is slipping away overnight. The American dream that you guys know is disappearing, is quietly going away, and people start to notice that. The wage is not keeping up, the work is not keeping up, the grocery store out to the roof, everything costs more. And you guys, excuse me for the stumble a little bit. And if you are new here, make sure you subscribe, comment, and share. And let's check out this video.
You know, when you were like in grade school and they'd make you do like when I get older forms, they'd be like, when I'm 25, I'll do this. I had so many goals on there and all the shit that I would own and have done. And I never thought at 32 years old I would still be saying, well, when I'm able to have a house, when I'm able to have a yard, when I'm able to have a child at 32. I've been living paycheck to paycheck since I have been able to work. Shit, since, I was a child, like we lived that way. But, my parents are still able to get a house that was big enough for all of us. They were able to get a house with a yard. My dad bought a house and a new car. I'm never going to be able to do that.
Nowhere on earth that you should have to work more than 8 hours a day, 5 days a week to make a decent living and live comfortably. Whether you're in New York, Los Angeles, or Idaho, the only difference should be the size of the dwelling, man. It's a lot better here in Barcelona, Spain, man. It's a lot better in Italy. It's a lot better in France. It's only going to get worse over there.
We were sold a lie. We were told that if we go to college, we get a better education, and we just work really hard, we could have the American dream. That's just not the case anymore. That's not the case anymore. I did that. I got a better education. I got a job that's supposed to be good. I worked hard. And honestly, I'm making the most money I've ever made in my life. And I'm probably the brokest I've ever been. Inflation is out of control. Inflation is the problem. Our wages are not keeping up with the cost of living.
No, they're not.
Gas is $5 a gallon. Rent is astronomical. Forget buying a house. It's not possible. Groceries, take out a loan. Take out a loan if you want to buy groceries on a monthly basis. And I have a child, so I have to buy groceries on almost a weekly basis, if not, maybe every 2 weeks. It's just we can't keep doing things the way that our parents, our grandparents did things. We have to change something. Something has to change.
Bitch, we're gonna work until we die. The American dream is absolutely DEAD, ho. That bitch died it. That bitch is deceased. That bitch fucking funeral viewing was like 2 years ago. 8 years ago. 2008. When Obama was president. That shit just died. I miss Obama. I miss being a kid. Like, this is just gonna sound but I did not realize that when I was a beautiful little young child, and I thought the world was peach and rainbows, that when it was gonna be my turn, I'm 27 years young, baby, about to be 28, that when it was gonna be my turn, it was gonna be ass for me. The economy was gonna be cheeks, and our little America.
The American dream is a scam. All you have to do is work hard. This is a meritocracy. Do you know how many people are working hard and have been working hard their whole life, and all they have to show for it is like some sort of chronic health condition and a fuck ton of debt? It's not real. It's not real. The thing they've been selling us isn't real. We'll just create jobs for everybody. Everybody will have jobs. There can be chicken on every table or whatever. But here's the thing. We're going to create all the jobs in the place where it's too expensive for anybody who has those jobs to live there. So then they'll have to commute. They'll have to commute to the job because work hard, you'll be successful. Then by the time they're done commuting in their home, 10 hours of their day are gone. But we'll give them 2 days off. But they'll work so hard that on those 2 days, one of them is just recovering from all of the work that they're done, and the other one is just preparing to do more work. So when are you supposed to wake the fuck up? Do you want to be an accountant? Do I want to be a banker? Am I really into plumbing? Actually, I do think blue collar work is a wonderful service and probably very rewarding. But I thought I was doing it right. I followed all of your rules. I did everything you told me to do, and I'm miserable. Stop buying it. I think we can all just get paid to be ourselves. I think abundance is our natural state, and this is a scam.
The American dream is no more. In 1940, 90% of kids out-earned their parents. Well, today, that number is only 42%. And the home ownership rate of 35-year-olds and under is at the lowest percentage ever at 37%. When are we going to revive this dream? When are we going to put the American people first?
Dude, it's 1998, and a good house costs about $125,000. A lot of people can actually afford their own place. A new family car costs less than $20,000, and most families can easily swing a new car. Gas is about $1.03 a gallon. We drive to go on vacation or weekend trips all the time without even worrying about the price of gas.
A loaf of bread costs about 85 cents, which is super cheap for every family.
Rent for an apartment is about $650 a month. We can find our own place and not have to share with anyone else.
A Big Mac meal is about $3.99. Lunch for less than $5. Now that's some seriously cheap fast food.
A new CD costs about $14. We love going to the record store to buy albums because it's like a cool collection to show off. Grocery bills are about $40 a week. We go to the store, get what we need for the week, and still have some cash left over for snacks. Dude, are you gonna stay in 1998 or face the reality?
It ain't no American dream no more. We living in an American nightmare right now. You got folks working 2-3 jobs trying to make it. Folks working 2-3 jobs and still can't pay their rent. People can't buy houses no more. You don't see people in their 20s and 30s buying houses no more like they used to back in the days. People can barely afford food at the grocery store because the price is steady going up. Gas prices is going up. And then you got to fill your tank up every 3 to 4 days because this gas is burning way too fast. You know what I'm saying? We living in an American nightmare. This ain't no American dream. I don't know what the fuck is going on. This ain't no American dream, though. Whenever you got to work 2 or 3 jobs and you still can't afford to live, you still can't afford food, you can't put gas in your car, you can't afford basic necessities, man. This is American nightmare. Ain't no more American dream.
Guys, the American dream is dead. I recently had a client that sold his business, and he sold it to private equity. And what he told me was mind-blowing. So he sold it to private equity, and he said if he didn't sell it now, he wouldn't be able to sell it in the future. And he also won't be able to compete because what they're doing is they're buying up all the small construction companies and sourcing materials cheaper than anybody else. So in effect, if you want to start a business and you don't have one already, you won't be able to compete with them. So the idea of going out and creating a business, creating something from nothing, doesn't exist, because you won't be able to get materials. You won't be able to get the basics to start a business cheaper than what the private equity company can get. And that means that you can't go out and start a business because private equity is going to control the market. And it's not for anything other than they have these rich elite assholes have nothing better to invest in. They can't find a different investment other than to buy the small companies, buy the little guys, and control it so that your children won't be able to start a business. So yeah, the idea of starting a business, creating something from nothing, the American dream, is no longer a thing.
The average Gen Zer says they'll need more than $500,000 a year to feel successful.
I don't think our generation can budget their way out of this.
With young adults hitting major life milestones like marriage and financial independence later in life, there's anxiety over whether the American dream is achievable for them.
Do you feel like hard work pays off now? It's like really hard to say.
Our generation is starting behind, loaded with student loans, higher interest rates, housing costs exploding.
Finding a spot to rent in the city is hard. And with mortgage rates going up again, buying a home seems out of reach. A survey published last year showed nearly a third of Gen Z adults, under 26 at the time, still lived with their parents.
I'll walk past like a real estate place and just see listings, and I'm just like, that's an amount of money that just seems like I can't even imagine. It feels kind of insurmountable.
Every time I get paid, it's either my car payment I have to pay in car insurance, and then on top of that, phone bill. So it's like so much at once hitting me, and then my credit card that I have to pay off.
I think there's an assumption that Gen Z is ungrateful, difficult to work with, expecting things that we don't deserve. And the reality is much of our generation is working really hard.
They still have some hope in the American dream.
I know that this is a country where people can achieve their dreams. It's just getting harder and harder to do that.
How did the American dream die? How did the middle class die? I'm going to tell you, it started in the 1980s with trickle-down economics that did not work. They decided to give tax cuts to the rich and corporations, saying that money would trickle down. It didn't. It just made the rich richer. Then we greenlit stock buyback. So instead of, when the productivity was going up, instead of giving workers more money, they just bought back their stocks so the shareholders could make profit and the executives could get bonuses. Then we had leverage buyouts, and the government didn't regulate leverage buyouts, and that was the start of private equity basically buying up everything so that they could make more money. Then we moved away from pensions to 401ks, which essentially just took the responsibility and accountability of the company to take care of their workers with the retirement and put it on to individuals. But we were never taught economics in high school, so how the fuck are we supposed to know about compound interest and investing? But they said the 401k was better than the pension when it wasn't. Then they started shipping our jobs overseas, building the middle class of other countries so that they could make more profit, destroying the middle class here. Then we started ramping up the borrowing money and getting into debt as a country, which devalues our dollar. And then in 2008, we had predatory lending, which crashed the housing market, fucked over so many Americans. And then we used taxpayer money to bail out the banks. And when all the houses were cheap, the rich went and bought those up. And that's when you started to see the rent start to increase around the 2010s into the 2015s. And then in 2011, we allowed super PACs to exist. So billionaires can now buy elections, and they use that money on attack ads, which divides the country. Divide and conquer, and that's what they did. In 2020, we have...
Am I the only person, am I the only Gen Zer right now that low-key feels like this whole American dream is like a whole setup for like misery and failure? Like, low-key, the idea of spending the rest of my life and working a 9-to-5 for the rest of my life until like I'm 70, 60 something years old, because Republicans want to push up the retirement age, is fucking like demoralizing. Like, it's just not even worth anything. Like, there is no life fulfillment or professional fulfillment. Any person who like really wants to live like an amazing, life is going to feel fulfilled by doing a 9-to-5 job. Like, you're just not. And all you're doing is working for the pennies on the dollar that these corporations give you to make them rich. And like, the thing is these people do not see these people. Like, look at this. The CEO said that the economy needs to, unemployment needs to be at 40-50%. That's worse than the Great Depression. This man had the audacity to go live in public and say that our economy needs to have half of the people have no jobs. Like, There's so many things wrong with this. And this just lets you know they don't see us as people. They just see us as clones that are there to produce them money so they can go do whatever they want. Because in their heads, like, there's this delusional thought that, like, for some reason you have to be insanely rich so you can enjoy the fruits of the world. And the thing is with Gen Z, like, you have Scott Galloway and you have all these people talking about, oh, you guys don't want to work, y'all don't want to do anything, and how we just are so unmotivated, we don't care about anything. Well, it's because there's nothing really to care about when you break down the plan. Like, when you break down this system, the system says you're supposed to work for like 40, 50 years and give your best life to a corporation, spend a third of your life working, and you have little control over the time you have off, where you travel to, and you're supposed to pay taxes, and then everything is super expensive, so you can't even achieve the American dream. So you're spending your whole time trying to get money so you can just live. And I'm just like, that is not the best use of anybody's time, to spend all of your waking hours, the majority of your time, trying to figure out how you can earn the money so you can, one, survive and live, and then have the money so you can do the things that you want to do. Like, what is that? Like what type of life is that? That's not a fulfilling life. I don't know like what the solution is, but honestly, like with Gen Z and stuff, they're gonna have to rewrite this whole American corporation contract. I'm such an anti-capitalist, and this is coming from someone who graduated from one of the top undergraduate business programs in the country. I just graduated, and I am a hardcore anti-capitalist. I do not. The system is evil. It needs to be burnt down to the ground. It is awful. And honestly, with Gen Z, like we want a new system. This is just not it. But guys, let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this issue. But yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Yo, I hope y'all know the American dream is dead. Like, you're not gonna have a good life just off the virtue of being American or living in America anymore. Like, those days are gone. Yes, 20, 30, 40 years ago, people were coming from all around the world to America for a better life, and they found that a lot of the times. But that's not the case no more. We live in a globalized world. Like, things are not the same. The effort that it took to live a fairly good life in terms of just working or building your own business, that effort now is just going to get you by barely. And I hope people are starting to realize this and look elsewhere and cast your net further overseas, network, and meet people in different companies overseas to where you can improve your, not just your financial position, but your other aspects of life. Like, it's time to get creative in 2025, for real.
I sort of gave up on the human race and gave up on the American dream and culture and nation, and decided that I didn't care about the outcome. And that gave me a lot of freedom from a kind of distant platform to be sort of amused, a kind of, to watch the whole thing with a combination of wonder and pity, and try to put that into words.
Not caring about the outcome. What do you mean by that?
Not having an emotional stake in whether this experiment with human beings works. I really don't care. I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole universe in their eyes if you look carefully. But as soon as they begin to group, as soon as they begin to clot, when there are 5 of them or 10, or even groups as small as 2, they begin to change. They sacrifice the beauty of the individual for the sake of the group. I decided it was all under the control of groups now, whether it's business, religion, political people, or what, and I would distance myself from wishing for a good outcome.
All right, guys, if you haven't noticed by now, everything economically changed in 2020 and 2021. I don't know one industry that didn't flip on its head or have a completely dramatic change. And the old American dream that was lived by our parents and our parents' parents is no longer a thing. You cannot be lower middle class in this economy and afford the 3-bedroom house in the suburbs and grow old with your kids and retire after 40 years. It's not real. That is gone. And I know it sucks. It absolutely sucks, but you guys need to wake up. It is here. It is here. I know I sound passionate about it because I'm a stock trader and I also sell real estate. So I have a pretty good grasp on what's going on. And I gotta tell you, all my clients are upper middle class, upper class, or wealthy. And that sucks. I used to have regular people as my base clientele, and it's no longer a thing. And it pisses me off, and it pisses them off. But I want to tell you guys that it is remediable. And you guys aren't going to want to hear this, but you need to do these things now. Multiple sources of income. Increase your earning power now. If you have one source of income, you're already losing the battle. 2, dollar cost average and diversify into assets. 3, decrease expenses. Next year is going to be tough. 4, save. Guys, if you do those things, you'll be able to participate economically in the future in America, because this is not going away. Wake up call, sorry.